All right. Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Happy Friday. My name is Alan. I'll be your host this morning, COO of Ice, faculty member for the Fitness Athlete Division. Today is the best day of the week. It is Fitness Athlete Friday. Live here on Facebook, live here on Instagram. I think I finally got it figured out so that the camera isn't too awkward. So, what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about heart rate zone training. We'll explain exactly what we're talking about here in a second. We get asked about this a lot here on the fitness athlete side, so we'll talk about the evidence first, and then we'll talk about our opinion. So some announcements first. 19.4 dropped last night. Gonna be a burner by couplet. First couplet. 10 snatches at 95-65, 12 bar facing burpees, 3-minute break, and then back to more burpees, but with some bar muscle ups in between. So 10 bar muscle ups, 12 bar facing burpees, 3 more rounds, 12-minute time cap. Should be very, very fun to watch tonight at Friday Night Lights. Speaking of Friday Night Lights, we're super excited. We're having a whole bunch of the ICE faculty up here tonight for Friday Night Lights at CrossFit Fenton. And then we have our Fitness Athlete Live seminar this weekend in Fenton. It's going to be great. Zach is going to be here. Mitch is going to be here. Jeff Moore is coming up. Jordan Berry, Zach Morgan. Who else is coming? Dustin Jones, Christina Previtt, their families. Troy Kress, a couple other folks that we know. So it's going to be an absolute riot tonight and this weekend. So we're excited for that. Still time to jump into Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations. If you've been looking to jump into that class, we have 2 spots left as of this morning. So make sure you grab those spots. That starts Monday. We also have Modern Management of the Older Adult online starting Monday as well. So make sure you jump into that one. And then coming up, we have Fitness Athlete Live. The next chance to catch us out on the road is in Portland or in Victoria, British Columbia. Those are both on the weekend of May 4th and 5th. So out on the West Coast, either in the States or up in Canada. Those are your next chances to catch us out on the road for Fitness Athlete Live seminar. So let's talk about heart rate zone training. What are we talking about when we're talking about this? We are talking about kind of this craze that's been catching on. Global gyms have been doing it for a couple years, starting to catch on in the CrossFit community of wearing a heart rate monitor and keeping your heart rate in a certain zone, not too low, but not too high. If you're getting too high, then you stop exercise, let it calm back down to the bottom of your zone, and repeating. Basically, trying to stay aerobic in your workout, and that somehow that will translate to better performance with CrossFit. So not a new concept, right? People like Mike Eisenhart, endurance athletes, have been using heart rate monitors since World War II, right? That's a little dig at Mike. Mike's not that old. But so not a new concept at all of zone training and monitoring your heart rate during training, but certainly a new idea in the functional fitness realm of trying to I guess, avoid high intensity or mitigate high intensity and stay aerobic as long as possible. That somehow increasing your ability to stay aerobic instead of anaerobic will translate to better performance during CrossFit style workouts. Some gyms will say that by staying in this zone, you are burning more fat. I see my good friend Billy Galacki jumped on here. Billy will tell you that fat burning is an advanced maneuver, more rooted in nutrition and things like good sleep than it is in where your heart rate is at. So we know that if you are exercising at 70% of your heart rate max for long periods, you're actually probably going to reduce your ability to burn fat, right? Your body is going to hold on to that fat longer. It's going to be in panic mode if you jump on the rower and stay aerobic for a whole hour at 70% of your max heart rate. So we know the literature does not really support that it burns more fat. You certainly are burning more calories, but we know that you are likely burning some muscle in there as well, especially if you are staying steady state. And that true fat loss comes from some sort of combination of training, diet, and sleep, not just staying at 70% of your heart rate max. So is it burning more fat? Maybe initially, but definitely not if it's something that you do every day and that's the only thing that you train. Some gyms will say that this zone training, staying in these zones, will improve your performance, that becoming more aerobically efficient will translate to better performance, more power, more strength, ability to recover faster and do more reps during a traditional CrossFit Metcon. Yes and no, we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then some gyms will say that this is for injury prevention, that staying aerobic and training will keep you healthier. It will keep you healthier in training. It will keep you healthier when you go out to perform, maybe when you go out to do a CrossFit open workout, if you do get into some maybe local competitions as well, that staying aerobic for your training will translate to better injury prevention. And so we have research on all of these different ideas, right? Talking specifically about performance, we know that almost every sport, almost every type of activity lives near a higher intensity than these heart rate zones, right? So anybody setting the world record or trying to on a marathon or a triathlon or an Ironman is not hanging out at 60% of their heart rate max, right? Tons and tons of research on this, so much that I'm not even going to really try and post it all. But there's articles for every single sport that have heart rate data on them, and they all say, yes, solid beer game also found to improve fitness. So all these articles have looked at the heart rate data for all these different sports: basketball, soccer, rugby, even skateboarding. I'll go down the list here. And we see that the heart rates of these players are all in the high intensity zone, right? Basketball players, when they're out on the court, they're playing at or above 85% of their heart rate max. Rugby players spend 65% of a match on average at or above 160 beats per minute, which for most of those folks, even the younger ones, again, we're above 80% there. Soccer players spend the majority of their time on the pitch above 80% of heart rate max. Skateboarders spend the majority of their time at or above 166 beats per minute. So again, when we actually leave training and enter our actual sport or competition or just life, we know that we live at higher intensities. So the training doesn't necessarily translate to the actual performance when we ask our body to perform. We know that we have to be able to sustain and experience much higher intensities than this zone training will get us there. Injury reduction. What does heart rate training do for injury reduction? Does it reduce injuries in training? Does it reduce injuries out on the field? The answer is yes, it does. It does result in less training injuries. So great article from Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research from 2015. The title is Heart Rate-Based Training Intensity and Its Impact on Injury Incidence Among Elite Level Soccer Players. We see that folks who trained at a lower heart rate intensity actually had less training injuries. So in training, injured less, but when those same folks went out to the field and were asked to perform, they actually got injured more in performance, right? They were not used to the levels of intensity demanded of them when they got out on the field, and actually their competition injuries were much higher than those folks who trained at a higher intensity in training. So does this zone training decrease injuries? Yes, but it seems to be during training only. When we translate to performance, it doesn't seem to translate well at all. When we ask our bodies to go to that level of intensity, that we see the injury rate actually increases. And so this is something I know from my time in the Army, is we had a saying, train how you fight, right? If you are going to train for combat, then when you're in training, you should train exactly how you fight. You should be wearing body armor, you should be wearing a helmet, you should be carrying a heavy pack and a rifle, and training exactly how you fight, and not trying to train at a lower intensity in like gym shorts and a t-shirt and then expect to be able to throw all your stuff on and hit it and not expect to get injured, right? So train how you fight. So if you are in a sport like CrossFit or soccer or basketball or skateboarding or really anything, you need to be able to touch higher levels of intensity, because the literature shows us that while you may be injured less in training, you will be injured more out on the field. So performance-wise, it doesn't really seem to translate. Fat burning wise, it doesn't really seem to translate. Performance injury wise, it doesn't really seem to translate. So is there a place for this style of training? This is something over the past year or so. We get this question at live courses now. We get this question in our online courses. We get this question all the time now. All these different heart rate training devices. You see them now at Planet Fitness and Anytime Fitness, and some CrossFit gyms are doing them. Is there a place for this? Yes. I think you should be monitoring heart rate on folks who have some sort of cardiovascular compromise, or folks that you just don't know. It's their first day, and you're unsure of their cardiovascular status, or you're aware that they do have cardiovascular compromise. I think monitoring their heart rate is worthwhile. I think zone training is good if your sport is long and slow at 70%, right? If you like to ride your road bike for 4 hours, then yeah, you have to get better at 70% because that's where you're going to be spending your time. So if your sport is long, slow aerobic, you should then train long, slow aerobic, right? And I think obviously we talked about this before a couple weeks ago when we had an episode on recovery, that there is a place for it in active recovery, right? Long, slow aerobic is great for heart rate variability. It's great for helping your body recover. But we don't need to be monitoring heart rate on every person that comes in the gym, right? There's a mountain of evidence that says asking people their RPE translates very, very well to their objective intensity. The literature supports that people are able to gauge where they're at with intensity. They're able to self-regulate, catch their own breath, self-regulate their own intensity. They don't need their heart rate monitored. Great article from 2018, Town Van Erp had 11,000 data points plotting session RPE versus training stress score in cyclists. Almost perfect correlation. The R value was 0.98, right? Perfect linear line. When you ask somebody how hard was that, they were able to get it right on the head with how it measured up objectively to what they were doing on their bike, right? So when we ask people their RPE, it links up pretty darn well. We don't need to be having a heart rate monitor on them. And I would argue, is this the best training for everybody? Is being more aerobic better? Obviously, we do need some sort of aerobic base in our life, right? I think of the power lifter who can deadlift 800 pounds but gets winded walking to the mailbox, right? We need an aerobic base that's a little bit better and healthier than that, but to be training aerobic every day, I think has little value in the research in translating to injury prevention, into performance, and into the clinic with our patients, right? We can do just fine with most folks with just asking them RPE. And again, here at ICE, we're big on N not or. Is there best training for everyone? No, there's no best training for any individual, right? It's got to be a little bit individualized, right? CrossFit isn't for everybody. If you want to run or cycle, you should run or cycle if that's what you like to do. Obviously, we promote cross training and resistance training for tendon and joint health, but do what you want. If that's at 70%, that's great. If that's above 70%, that's great too. And now getting kind of into the opinion piece, like, is this the direction CrossFit should be going? No, right? CrossFit is not in this, right? We do aerobic capacity days. We do rowing intervals and running intervals and bike intervals, and we already have aerobic capacity built into the programming. We have heavy days built into the program. We have gymnastics days built into the programming, and then of course we have traditional CrossFit Metcons. But the thing that's going to make you better at a workout like tonight's workout, 19.4, is not hanging out at 70% of your heart rate max for an hour, right? Tonight's workout, you gotta bury the needle, right? You should be getting through that first round of snatches and burpees as fast as possible, right? Burning up your ATP PC system, riding up to 90, 95, 100% of your heart rate max, and trying to hold on for 2 or 3 minutes, knowing that you're going to get that 3-minute rest, and then you got to do it again, right? It's a bicouplet. So does this translate well to CrossFit style training? No, right? CrossFit is constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. Cherry picking movements and performing them regularly at low intensity is the exact opposite definition of what CrossFit is, right? The variation is what gets you all the different performance increases in CrossFit. Why people are able to get muscle ups and snatches and able to do Metcons fast and reduce their 5K time and their 400 time and their mile time. All that comes from the variation in the programming and the high intensity that we push folks to achieve. So does it translate well to CrossFit style training? I would argue no. If you look at the very best in CrossFit, they are not doing heart rate zone training, right? They're certainly monitoring stuff out on the track and their heart rate with exercises just to see performance wise, but they are not trying to keep their heart rate between 64 and 84% with a heart rate monitor, right? They not once have they ever wondered where their heart rate is at, I'm sure. So those are our thoughts. That's the evidence on heart rate zone training. It does have a place for some folks, but for most folks, especially in the CrossFit realm, we really think that it doesn't, and it's not something to be concerned about. Like, we say here a lot, just come in and let this be the best hour of your day and just work out, and don't worry about trying to track all this data with your heart rate and stay in the zone. Just come in and let the coach warm you up and guide you through the workout on the board, and then have a good rest of your day, right? Don't overcomplicate it with all this training data, because for the truth is, for the vast majority of the folks here, they're not going to go on to be professional athletes, right? This is just how they stay in shape. So don't overcomplicate that. So that's what I got for you. I'll post some of the articles I talked about over on the Facebook page for you guys to dig in deeper too. If you're on Instagram, the Facebook page is facebook.com/icephysio. So on today's live, I'll post those articles in there. Other than that, have a great day, have a great Friday, have a great weekend. If you're coming this weekend, we look forward to having you here tonight for Friday Night Lights, and we look forward to the live seminar here this weekend. It's going to be a riot. We should have about 30 people here. It's going to be super fun. So have a great day, guys. See you later.